this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
This is Red Pilled America. Join the Fam Bam and support storytelling that aligns with your values. Just go to redpilledamerica.com and click Join in the top menu. You'll get ad-free access to our entire back catalog of episodes. Help us save America one story at a time. This episode was originally broadcast on August 2nd, 2020. You can't always get what you want. That is, unless you're a Democrat. For some reason, the left always seems to get exactly what they're aiming for. If they want a shutdown of the economy, they get it.
Today I'm issuing a stay home, stay safe executive order.
If they want to paint the streets, Democrats somehow make it happen.
The street along New York City's Fifth Avenue in front of Trump Tower is closed to traffic today as the words Black Lives Matter are painted on the president's doorstep, essentially.
And if they want players to take a knee, the millionaires comply.
Players, managers, and coaches from the New York Yankees and Washington Nationals taking a knee.
Why is that? Why do Democrats always seem to get what they want? I'm Patrick Corelchi.
And I'm Adriana Cortez.
And this is Red Pilled America, a storytelling show.
This is not another talk show covering the day's news. We are all about telling stories.
Stories Hollywood doesn't want you to hear.
Stories the media mocks. Stories about everyday Americans that the globalists ignore.
You could think of Red Pilled America as audio documentaries, and we promise only one thing. The truth. Welcome to Red Pilled America. It's hard to deny that the Democrats always seem to get what they want. Sure, they didn't get their way when Trump became president, but even when they're out of power, the left seems to find a way to deliver for their base. Whether it be Obamacare, gay marriage, massive illegal immigration, censoring conservatives, all the important stuff seems to turn in their favor. Why is that? Why do Democrats always seem to get what they want? To find the answer, we're going to hear the story of Arizona Congressman Paul Gosar and his Chief of Staff Thomas Van Flein, two American patriots that arrived in D.C. on a red wave that was hell-bent on changing the status quo. Throughout their journey, they've racked up some wins against the Democrat smear machine and have learned a thing or two about how they operate.
Paul Gosar is one of the few Republican congressmen in America that gets things done while managing to keep his boots clean of the Washington, D.C. swamp. But that doesn't mean he hasn't had some mud slung his way.
I was blindsided, to be very honest with you.
That's Paul.
One of my colleagues from the Democratic side, we were waiting at the airport, and he said, just want to let you know, you're tough enough to take it, but there's a video coming. And that's all he said. And then the video comes out. And to say I was upset would be an understatement.
Paul had to learn the hard way about the lengths to which the Democrats will go to win. Yet through it all, him and his team have figured out a way to rack up a few W's themselves. His road to our nation's capital looks a lot like our founders intended. He grew up in a small town in Wyoming called Rock Springs.
A town that never, when I was there, never was more than about 900 people. It's on the headwaters of the Green River.
Paul's household was a significant percentage of the city's population.
I come from a big family. I'm the first of 10 kids, a bunch of overachievers.
Paul ties his family's success to the household's dynamic.
I've got two parents. My mom was a former teacher that decided to stay home, raise a family, and help teach us at home after school from the public school districts. My dad was a geologist, and he was not the average geologist. Most geologists would do one well at a time. The guy would do 3 or 4 at a time. So he was kind of a crazy man. And we were raised that, don't let anything stop you. We were also very athletic. So we bounced on each other over and over again. And I think that's what made us achieve was the competition within the house, whether it be from breakfast, getting up at breakfast, knowing that, when breakfast was served, if you weren't there, you weren't going to get anything. And then you'd have to wait till lunch.
As an athletic kid, Paul's dreams mirrored many boys of the time. He wanted to play college football, then go on to be the next Fran Tarkenton, the famed quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings.
And so I had a dear uncle, my mom's brother, who was a dentist. And he kept coming to me saying, what do you want to do with your life? And my dad, as I told you, was always on the rigs. And so he made every attempt to see our ball games. But my uncle was always there, kind of mentoring us.
It was a relationship that would make a deep impact on Paul's career path. A few games into his varsity season of high school football, Paul broke his arm, dashing his NFL dreams. In search of a new way forward, there was something about his uncle's work as a dentist that caught his eye.
And I kind of liked the way that he had the ability to treat people, to be part of the culture, part of the community, and be part of his kids' lives.
When it came time for college, Paul's mom was worried about him attending the University of Wyoming because she'd seen too many kids get caught up in the party atmosphere there.
So long story short, I actually decided to go to Creighton to get my mom off my back.
While at Creighton, he oscillated between medicine and dentistry until he settled on his uncle's line of work, largely because of the freedom it would afford him.
And finally chose dentistry because I thought that if I went into medicine, that would be the only thing I could do in my life because I would put everything behind it. So I went into dentistry and never looked back.
By his senior year in college, he began thinking about where he wanted to put down roots.
I was still single. I just did not want to come back to Rock Springs, Wyoming. If you've ever been to Rock Springs, Wyoming, great people, but not kind of a place I wanted to live. So my dad heard me talk to my uncle that I wasn't coming back to Rock Springs. And my dad said to me, listen, as much as I'd love to have you come back to Wyoming, I think we're going to have a crash in our minerals and energy. And that wouldn't be a good time for you to be owning a practice or trying to get your business off the ground.
Paul took his father's advice and began writing letters to dentist practices outside of his hometown. That's when his mom got her 2 cents in.
She goes, listen, your dad and I went through this town called Flagstaff on our honeymoon to Mexico. A lot of trees, you'd love it. I love trees, I love planting, I love working outdoors.
So he wrote a man with an office in the area, and as chance would have it, he was looking to sell his practice.
So I made arrangements to fly out there and take the Greyhound bus up to Flagstaff during spring break. And the practice wasn't for me.
So he headed to Phoenix, to one of the dentistry supply companies, and he met someone there that could help.
There's a guy from Wyoming that knew my uncle. And he said, hey, you like that Flagstaff area? I said, yeah, but the practice, he said, oh, there's another one. He said, there's a guy that's doing a satellite office with one chair, and his wife is in dental school, and they're not making it, and the bank's probably going to repo it. If you're interested, I'll let you know. And lo and behold, I ended up bailing this guy out before he was repoed.
Paul made the move to Flagstaff in 1985. He settled in, got married, and him and his wife Maud eventually had 3 kids. Like his uncle, Paul enjoyed the freedom that dentistry offered.
Yeah, but I was always very talented in art, very talented with my hands, and the good Lord has given me some great eyes and shapes. So dentistry was a real fun adventure. But I also got involved in the politics of dentistry.
When Paul was young, he remembers his dad being chairman for the Republican Party in his area.
And so we actually got to see senators and folks, at the local, state, and county levels. So we were always told to be part of that. And so in Arizona, I started in the dental realms. I pretty much held every position that they have, from local president on our constituent level all the way to the state, and then to the Council on Government Affairs to the American Dental Association, where I represented 7 states.
Then in 2008, through his involvement with the association, Paul was introduced to an issue that would eventually change the direction of his life forever. More after the break.
Colorado is trying to silence free speech again. A state law forces businesses to use customers' preferred pronouns, even if they're biologically inaccurate. With the help of Alliance Defending Freedom, a Christian bookstore and a sports apparel company are challenging the law, but a court recently ruled against them. They appealed the ruling, and with the ADF's help, they'll keep fighting another attempt by Colorado to skirt the First Amendment. Learn more about how you can support free speech by texting RPA to 83848 or going to joinadf.com/RPA. Sponsored by Alliance Defending Freedom.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
I think when you're diagnosed with cancer, you crave a semblance of normalcy and control. And so work allowed me to be me. So I think it's really important that companies stay flexible. Cancer and a diagnosis can be all-consuming, but it doesn't have to be.
Research shows there is a significant connection between the ability to continue to work and cancer recovery. We can make work a better place for healing.
Learn more and sign the pledge at workingwithcancerpledge.com.
What God started in my life, He's going to finish.
The Joel Osteen Daily Podcast.
Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. What was meant for my harm, Lord, I want to thank you right now. You're turning to my advantage.
Your daily source of hope and encouragement.
Your second wind is on its way. God is about to breathe on your life in a new way.
Listen to the Joel Osteen Daily Podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Welcome back. So by 2008, Paul Gosar had built a successful practice and was getting more and more involved in the politics of the dental industry when he was introduced to an issue that would change the direction of his life forever. U.S. public health groups began pitching a lower standard of care for Native American patients in Alaska. The proposal was to allow people with merely a high school diploma and 18 months of training to treat these patients instead of actual dentists.
And it's called a dental health aid therapist. They mimicked what was at the time being done in New Zealand and Australia. And Patrick, if you know anything about the Native Americans, they have a higher degree of diabetes and heart disease, which makes even simple procedures potentially life-threatening.
It so happens that roughly 30% of Paul's Flagstaff patient base was Native American.
And so one of the things I did is, as you'll find, I don't run from being a dentist. I run to being a dentist, is I would share the experience with them. This is what public health's trying to do to you. Is that something that you want? And so typical appointments that were an hour would probably go an hour and a half. My staff was going crazy, but I wanted to share that.
The feedback he was getting was that they wanted the same standard of care as everyone else.
So we were coming back to Washington, D.C. 4 times a year, once every quarter. I started coming early and paying my own nickel to start walking the Hill to find out what was going on and how things were moving. The congressman of our district at the time, Rick Renzi, showed me around, introduced me to Mike Pence. Mike Pence took me around to show me energy and commerce and the committees of jurisdiction.
On his trips, Paul was learning that the desires of the Native Americans didn't seem to be getting to the decision makers. It was around this time that he met an attorney named Tom Van Flein.
For a period of time, I represented both the Alaska Dental Association and the American Dental Association.
That's Tom.
There was some litigation going on involving what are called mid-level providers.
When they met, Tom was impressed by Paul's moxie.
He was with several other dentists at the time, and they were fired up. They were fighters. So I liked them. I liked the fact that they were not afraid to pursue what is right, no matter the consequences, and no matter if it upset people in the media or other people who wanted the status quo.
Against Paul's advice, the national leadership ended up backing down from the fight. But through this conflict, Paul and Tom became friends.
Not long after that, 2009, decided he was going to run for office for Congress, and he reached out to me. And I said, hey, anything I can do to help, I will. So I ended up doing most of the policy stuff for the campaign, right at the get-go.
The pairing made sense. By the time Paul had decided to run for Congress, Tom had already been facing off with the establishment monster in a big way, as the personal attorney for Sarah Palin. The governor of Alaska was the canary in the coal mine that showed the length to which the left would go to defeat their opposition. Sarah Palin was introduced to a national audience in the summer of 2008.
I am very pleased and very privileged to introduce to you the next Vice President of the United States. Governor Sarah Palin of the great state of Alaska.
Thank you so much. And I thank you, Senator McCain and Mrs. McCain, for the confidence that you have placed in me. Senator, I am honored to be chosen as your running mate.
She was largely an unknown at the time, but her good looks, charisma, and gift of speaking on the podium made her an instant hit with the GOP base.
I had the privilege of living most of my life in a small town. I was just your average hockey mom and signed up for the PTA. I love those hockey moms. You know, they say the difference between a hockey mom and a pit bull? Lipstick.
Palin's addition injected new life into McCain's floundering campaign, with one poll showing him surpassing Barack Obama by 10 points shortly after she joined the ticket. That's when the left's cultural leviathan went to work on the Alaskan governor.
So when she became the Republican vice presidential nominee, the left did what the left does and went after her hard.
The media used her inexperience on the national stage to create a narrative that she was a lightweight.
You've cited Alaska's proximity to Russia as part of your foreign policy experience. What did you mean by that?
That Alaska has a very narrow maritime border between a foreign country, Russia, and on our other side, the land boundary that we have with Canada. It's funny that a comment like that was kind of made to, I don't know, you know, reporters.
Mocked?
Yeah, mocked, I guess that's the word, yeah.
Saturday Night Live added to the narrative.
And now a nonpartisan message from Governor Sarah Palin and Senator Hillary Clinton.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. I was so excited when I was told Senator Clinton and I would be addressing you tonight.
And I was told I would be addressing you alone.
You know, Hillary and I don't agree on everything.
I believe that diplomacy should be the cornerstone of any foreign policy.
And I can see Russia from my house.
Of course, the media handled her gaffe-prone VP opponent, Joe Biden, with kid gloves. But that made no difference. The damage was being done. In parallel, the Democrats began creating headlines for the media.
And they started to use ethics complaints as a weapon on lawfare. And at the time, I don't know if it's even changed yet, but at the time, anyone, anywhere in the country could file an ethics complaint for any alleged issue they wanted to against the governor. And you didn't have to be vetted first. Nobody had to research it or determine if it had validity. So all these crazy, frivolous and harassing complaints were filed.
Like tag team wrestlers, the media used these Democrat-instigated complaints to constantly attack the VP nominee.
The McCain-Palin ticket is bracing for what could be an embarrassing report. Lawmakers in Alaska are expected to release the results of an investigation into possible abuse of power by Governor Sarah Palin in the so-called Troopergate inquiry.
Every complaint resulted in a headline above the fold. Every dismissal was barely mentioned. That was the pattern.
As each was either dismissed or found to have no merit, it didn't stop the complaints from piling up.
I think we reached 27 or 28 ethics complaints that were filed and handled by what was called the personnel board with a full investigator, the investigator usually being hired, by the way, by the Obama law firm of Perkins Coie. So that was who was in charge of the neutral investigation on these things. We still won all of them.
All but one of these investigations were dismissed. The sole remaining complaint that Palin had to settle was for a minor issue related to bringing her own daughter on a plane trip with her for governor business when her husband was unable to babysit. It was a non-issue.
The rest were thrown out, or she was acquitted, vindicated, but it took a lot of time, a lot of money, and it did what it was intended to do, and that was to destroy her reputation, destroy her standing in the state. Her ratings as governor plummeted, and 2 years of that was one of the key factors that caused her to say, I don't need this anymore.
Over the past 9 months, I've been accused of all sorts of frivolous ethics violations, such as holding a fish in a photograph or wearing a jacket with a logo on it and answering reporters' questions. Every one of these, though, all 15 of the ethics complaints have been dismissed. We have won, but it hasn't been cheap. The state has wasted thousands of hours of your time and shelled out some $2 million of your dollars to respond to opposition research. And that's money that's not going to fund teachers or troopers or safer roads. And this political absurdity, the politics of personal destruction, Todd and I, we're looking at more than $500,000 in legal bills just in order to set the record straight. So that Alaska may progress, I will not seek re-election as governor.
But even after her resignation, the Democrat machine wasn't done with her yet. They wanted to make sure this charismatic conservative leader would not be a threat in the future. SNL continued spoofing her, and HBO produced a film called Game Change, mocking her VP run.
I understand you've prepared a speech. Is that correct?
Yes, I have. I want to salute John for everything he's done for this country.
It's not going to happen. You're not giving a speech.
And why is that, Steve?
You're not giving a speech because the vice presidential candidate has never given a concession speech on election night. It's not about you. It's about the country.
The Democrat establishment used its cultural institutions to send a clear message to every talented conservative in America. Oppose us, and we will destroy you. To date, the right has no equivalent cultural mechanism in place. Tom got to see this smear machine up close. It put him in a good position to help guide Paul Gosar's 2010 run for Congress. And oh, what a time it was for Paul to run.
All right, so passions are running high, patience short on supply here. Let's try to separate the fact from the fiction.
The Tea Party had risen to push back on Obama's massive growth in government, and the movement was hopping mad about his attempt to take control of the American health industry.
I want to know if it's coming out of my paycheck, yes or no.
Your employer supports you.
I want an answer to the question. Is the money coming out of my paycheck?
They've decided that we're just stupid.
And I don't want the government to do it for me.
I am not a right-wing wacko.
I have a question for this young man. You went for all shit. You went for all shit.
After a year-long fight over Obama's proposed health care reform, Nancy Pelosi used procedural maneuvers to force the controversial legislation through Congress without a single Republican vote. And when she did, the media openly feared that the White House could pay a hefty price in the 2010 midterm elections.
The Democrats, though, face some huge political vulnerabilities. If this blows up in the Senate now, and what's left is this original Senate bill with all the special provisions, the Cornhusker kickback, the special deal for Florida, the other special deals that are in there, that could be horrible for the Democrats in the fall.
It could be devastating for Democrats.
And for once, the media was right. The passage of Obamacare enraged Republican voters all across America. Again, Paul Gosar.
The Obama administration, like Democrats tend to do, they tried to force feed America in those first early years. They're in some ways they're very smart. Get it over with and make the other side try to undo the knot. And one of those things happened to be health care.
It was an issue that Paul was passionate about, and it became one of the pillars of his candidacy. At first, he thought he'd be able to keep his dentistry practice while running for Congress.
So what I would do is work early in the morning till usually like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, hop in the car and drive somewhere. Talk to people, have coffees, even if it was one person or two people, just that retail kind of politics. talking one-on-one with people, getting their ideas.
But as Paul spent time talking to voters, he came to the conclusion that he wouldn't be able to keep his practice and run for office. The district he was looking to represent was bigger than the state of Pennsylvania, a very rural area with farmers, ranchers, miners, timber folks, and Native Americans. To win, he'd need to devote all of his time. So he sold his practice to a colleague's son and put everything on the line.
And our thought is, my wife's thought was, if we don't win, then we're going to go do the American thing, go somewhere else and try to start all over again. And so we really did take a shot on the Reading Railroad. Where it led us, we didn't quite know.
In the primary, Paul faced 9 opponents.
And we ran the table. So in the primary, we won. We doubled down on the next 2 people. We tried to make it cordial, what we could do for the people in Arizona's 1st District. And we still stay friends today, all 9 of us. And then I took on an incumbent.
Again, Tom Van Flein.
We knew it was going to be close. It's a swing district. The Democrat incumbent at that time is a lady who was, well-liked, and she's not a crazy, burn down the house Democrat, which is what, seems to be the new model. John F. Kennedy would recognize her, as a Democrat. And so she was tough to beat.
She had $1.4 million in her bank, and we had $40,000 in the bank. And we beat her very convincingly, even with a libertarian in the race.
The 2010 midterm elections ended up being a red tsunami.
Some election nights are more fun than others. Some are exhilarating. Some are humbling. Now, I'm not recommending for every future president that they take a shellacking like I did last night.
With Paul now headed to D.C., he worked to build his staff.
Not all of our first picks worked out, but one of the picks that really worked out was my friend Tom Van Flein, who I asked to follow me here, and he did.
So he asked me to come out to D.C. and be his legislative director. And I was at a good point in my legal career to take a break. Like, I had done trial work, I had mastered it, I had tons of success doing it, and I was ready to try something different at that point. And I told him I would do it for 1 year. I gave him my word. I said, I'll do this for 1 year, and then I got to get back and to making money and practicing law. And I never did go back to making money.
This was an incredible time for Republicans. They picked up 63 seats in the House, their biggest gain in almost 65 years. The American electorate had sent a clear message to Washington, D.C. They wanted a change in direction. And Paul Gosar, the kid from Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Tom Van Flein, the lawyer from Alaska, were a part of this historic moment. Tom remembers the energy of that 2010 Tea Party wave.
There was so much optimism and so much hope for the future that they were going to put a stop to the Obama administration's nonsense and reverse some of these horrific policies that had already started to undermine just the values that they believed were fundamental to the country. And at first, they elected John Boehner Speaker. And John Boehner is a conservative.
John Boehner got back to business as it should be. There were open rules. I mean, I remember, 2-3 times a week we were up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at night doing, amendments on the process. And it was fabulous. It was fun. It was busy. It was a lot of work. But it was fun. It was engaging. And you got to have your say.
But John Boehner had a House with many establishment Republicans he had to deal with as well.
But he also had to manage an unruly and a very large membership that consisted of New York Republicans, which they're not Tea Party folks. They're kind of old school Rockefeller, let's get along, go along kind of guys. Nothing wrong with them, but they represent the people of that area and those values. And then you had hardcore conservatives. These hardcore conservatives are like, no, we're all about the Constitution. We're all about getting back to the rule of law. We need to, stop these unauthorized mandates, and we need to enforce the border, and we need to stop illegal immigration. And these guys came in with a lot of enthusiasm to get that done. They did try. They tried to balance the budget multiple times. They passed bills to balance the budget. And they worked hard, and all of it died a quick death in the Senate that was controlled at the time by Harry Reid. And since the Democrats had the Senate, nothing the House did mattered. Because then, on the big issues that had to pass, so there's always these have-to-pass bills, you had to compromise.
Tom is referring to bills that have to pass in order for government to function, like bills that fund the military or the government itself. We've seen how these negotiations sometimes lead to a government shutdown, an event that the GOP establishment desperately tries to avoid because the liberal mainstream media always places the blame solely on the feet of the Republicans.
Brown's latest poll found that 72% of Americans oppose the government shutdown, and a growing number put most of the blame on Republicans in Congress.
It's definitely going to hurt Republicans a lot more, because I think what people are seeing is that there's one side that's really intransigent.
About 2/3 say that Republicans in Congress really shoulder the bulk of the responsibility for the shutdown.
So far, Terry, it looks like the Democrats may be winning the propaganda war in this whole thing, at least for now.
And the game was getting played where the Democrats were able to negotiate pretty much all their priorities, and the conservatives never really got any meaningful reforms as part of their package. So the compromise always was, to give the Democrats what they wanted this time, and we'll get them next time kind of an attitude. Next time never came.
This happens largely because the Democrats and establishment Republicans both understand that every American cultural institution, the media, Hollywood, big tech, and the so-called experts in academia, are all on the side of the Democrats and are ready to place the blame of a shutdown or failure of an important bill on the doorstep of the GOP. The Democrats are successful at doing this by having every media outlet slam conservatives 24/7. Big tech makes sure the top trending stories are slanted against the right. Celebrities enter the fray with rants against the Republicans, and even the musicians pile on.
Hey, y'all, I just want to remind y'all, because it's been a little bit over 3 weeks, Trump is now ordering, as in summoning, federal government workers to go back to work without getting paid.
It takes a unique kind of person to be the recipient of attacks from America's leftist cultural institutions and not waver. John Boehner was not one of those kinds of people.
And I still remember the day when he basically said, I'm tired of doing this. I'm going to go to Obama and cut a deal. And that's what rankled so many people in the conference and so many of my big class. And then it became a push versus shove. This is the way we do things. You're just going to have to get used to it. And that didn't set well with me, nor did it set well with a bunch of others.
So I remember the optimism, and it was a slow death by 1,000 cuts of that optimism.
This process of appeasement continued when Paul Ryan became Speaker of the House in 2015. Ryan proved he'd compromised to give the left whatever they wanted. Many grassroots conservatives had high hopes that this pattern would be broken when the New York real estate mogul won the election, but they quickly learned that wasn't the case. As the media, Hollywood, big tech, and the like waged an unprecedented attack on President Trump, the GOP establishment again caved.
It turns out it doesn't really matter, if we run the House or not. We had 2 years where we controlled the House, we controlled the Senate, and we controlled the presidency. The 2 years from 2016 2018, after President Trump was elected, when Paul Ryan was Speaker of the House and Mitch McConnell was Senate President, were a complete waste of time other than one bill, the tax reform bill. They did nothing to help the president. They in fact opposed him, undermined him, and it was such an opportunity for reform, meaningful reform on so many different areas. Many reforms that could have been done just weren't. The ability to tackle big tech and deal with censorship, which was already occurring back then, could have been done, but wasn't. And in the House leadership, just a strong anti-Trump feeling. And that's when the Mueller investigation was taking off. And I think some of those guys were hoping he'd be impeached and removed over that. And it was a squandered opportunity. The American public won. The conservatives won. We had it all. And those guys said, nope, you didn't win anything.
Paul Ryan openly undermined the leader of his party. And how was he punished? Well, he was given a place on the Fox News board. Rock-ribbed conservatives like Paul Gosar have faced these types of D.C. establishment hurdles time and time again, and in one instant, it got extremely personal. After his first campaign win in 2010, the Arizona map was redrawn and Paul Gosar's district was split in a way to make his re-election difficult. But he won anyways. He won again in 2014 and 2016 by giving his constituents a voice. He set up town halls and gave them a chance to not only air complaints, but also present solutions.
And that's why we've become one of the most accomplished members of Congress we've had 15 bills done in our 10 years. They've been signed into law, and people look at me and go, how are you doing it? And it's because we work together with people.
Paul Gosar's success and his strong support of President Trump made him a target of the left. So when the 2018 midterm elections came along, the Democrats decided it was time to hit Paul below the belt.
I was blindsided, to be very honest with you.
And what happened next could have broken almost any man.
Do you want to hear Red Pilled America stories ad-free? Then become a Backstage subscriber. Just log on to redpilledamerica.com and click Join in the top menu. Join today and help us save America one story at a time.
Welcome back. So Paul Gosar's success and his strong support of President Trump made him a target of the left. When the 2018 midterm elections came along, the Democrats decided it was time to hit Paul below the belt.
I was blindsided, to be very honest with you.
And what happened next could have broken almost any man. Paul was waiting for a flight with a Democrat colleague.
And he said, just want to let you know, you're tough enough to take it, but there's a video coming. And that's all he said. And then the video comes out.
Paul Gosar, the congressman, isn't doing anything to help rural America.
Paul's absolutely not working for his district.
Paul's Democrat challenger ran an attack ad. It opened like many political commercials, with testimonials against Paul.
And he's not listening to you, and he doesn't have your interests at heart.
But then, as it progressed, the shocking twist was revealed.
My name is Tim Gosar.
David Gosar.
Grace Gosar.
Joan Gosar.
Gaston Gosar.
Jennifer Gosar.
Paul Gosar is my brother.
My brother. And I endorse Dr. Brill.
Dr. Brill wholeheartedly endorse Dr. David Brill for Congress.
I'm Dr. David Brill, and I approve this message.
6 of Paul's siblings endorsed his opponent.
And to say I was upset would be an understatement.
His Democrat challenger had gotten wind that several of Paul's siblings were anti-Trump progressives. 6 of them agreed to be involved in an attack ad against their own brother. Again, Tom Van Flein.
The implicit message is, if your own child or your own brother or your own sister doesn't like you, then you must really be bad. Or what do they know about you? That behind the scenes, that's kind of the implicit message is, this guy must be a monster.
Both my mom and dad were, Republican stalwarts. My dad was a delegate from Wyoming in 68 and 72, my mom in 76. And you have 7 very liberal Democrats, or progressives. I wouldn't even call them Democrats. They're progressives. And where things went wrong, my mom is torn up. She doesn't get this.
And how were those siblings rewarded for their betrayal? Well, just about every TV show that even remotely touched on politics aired a story on their commercial.
It's the new shocking political ad that's making waves around Arizona and the country for that matter. Congressman Paul Gosar's own siblings endorsed the other candidate, David Brill.
6 siblings, all speaking out against their brother as he makes another bid for Congress.
What? Is this for real? This is for real.
The family resemblance is unmistakable, but apparently blood only goes so far.
The 6 say they cannot stand by their brother's positions on healthcare, immigration, and the environment.
So what would you do if you were running for office and your 6 or 7 or 9 or 10 brothers and sisters decided to publicly say, we are not supporting you because you're too out there for us?
Democratic candidate David Brill says his team reached out to the siblings knowing there was a divide between them and their brother.
They love America, and they love their family and their family's values, and that they feel that our congressman has departed from both.
Brill says they told their story willingly.
I really have to say these are courageous and principled people.
It's
horrible to have to do this.
It's a family feud being played out in a political ad unlike any you've ever seen.
But shouldn't this matter? You know, I mean, if you have all of someone's siblings saying this person is a lunatic, this person is a jerk, please vote for the other person, I just can't believe that that's not going to be persuasive.
So will this actually work? That's going to be an interesting question here.
ABC News, NBC News, CBS News, The Today Show, CNN, Vice, HBO, Inside Edition, The View, all ran stories on the commercial. The left used the cultural platforms it owned to punish the Republican. Paul could have cowered in a corner over the entire ordeal. He could have backed down and compromised his principles as his siblings wanted.
If you could say anything to your brother, what would you say?
Resigned.
He could have even angrily lashed out at them, but he didn't. Instead, he took a different route. Paul turned to humor.
"You can't pick your family," Gosar tweeted to the 6 angry Democrat Gosars. "See you at mom and dad's house." Their mother weighing in, telling the New York Times her congressman's son has done a hell of a job for Arizona and they love him. Gosar responded, "I guess I really am mom's favorite."
One of the things that we do in my office is that we talk it out before we respond.
Again, Tom Van Flein.
Initially, when you are attacked personally, your first gut response is an emotional one. You want to strike back. And so we make it a point when stuff like this happens to not do that and just take a minute. Let's reflect on this. Let's think about this. And one thing we have learned about the left and our opponents is they completely lack a sense of humor. They are unable to meme. They are unable to address sarcasm. They are unable to address humor in any form when it's directed against them.
Ridicule is the harshest thing that you can do to somebody. It's intolerable by somebody else. So when you take some hatred and you turn it upside down, people go, there's a bigger person for that. And you allow them to step on themselves. And that's exactly what they did.
In interviews, some of Paul's siblings began to reveal how they let far-left propaganda infect their minds.
Hey, Paul, let's agree to disagree about taking babies from their parents at the borders.
And I think there will be some people wondering, Grace, why not have this conversation privately with your brother?
Well, I feel like in confronting Paul in this way, we offer a challenge to him that we don't really have in any other way.
But there was a very nice light at the end of the tunnel, Patrick. And that was that for a lot of my nieces and nephews, I was their dentist. And they knew me as that dentist. And they didn't understand why their parents were so offset against me. I've had some wonderful conversations with my nieces and nephews. I haven't talked ill about their mother or father. I gave them my side of the story. That's what anybody is entitled to. And then you have to make your own mind up.
In the end, the advertisement backfired. Paul won his race by a landslide. And Paul and Tom learned something. They learned that using humor, a powerful cultural weapon, helped them win. They used a technique almost entirely monopolized by the left. Paul went on to use this weapon to promote a serious topic. He used the Epstein didn't kill himself meme to promote the lunacy of the Democrats' impeachment inquiry against the president.
Congressman Gosar, we are proud to say, joins us on the set tonight. You sent out 23 tweets in a row.
Yes.
Spelling in acrostic code, the first letter of each tweet spells out Epstein didn't kill himself. It made my day personally, but tell me why you did that.
Well, we wanted to have a different delivery mechanism, and to a group of people that may not even be following what's going on with this fake impeachment inquiry of the president.
Yes.
And it got the results that we wanted.
This is how fun it is. My chief of staff and I are in a cab, and we're talking about how this thing is going crazy. It got 32 million hits. And so the taxi driver hears us talking about it. He leans back and he goes, "Are you guys the ones who did the Acronics?" And we're like, "Yes." And I said, "We've made it." When the taxi car driver tells you, "Hey, I follow your Acronics."
Today, Paul Gosar spends much of his time in Congress fighting for America First values, and Tom is still helping him along the way. Which leads us back to the question, why do Democrats always seem to get what they want? The answer is, The left uses culture to win. The left owns the mainstream media. They own Hollywood, academia, and big tech. And by doing so, the Democrats define our culture and the rules of the game. They use the power of these platforms to either destroy their opponents or they create an environment so hostile that weak-kneed Republicans always succumb to the pressure and acquiesce to the demands of the left. The right has no ability to impose the same kind of cultural shame that the left can inflict on Republicans at will. The Democrats know this, and that's why they get what they want. There are very few Republican politicians that understand this dynamic, that politics is downstream of culture. Paul Gosar understands this. To fight back, the right must make a long-term commitment to developing their own cultural institutions. Conservatives need media outlets with journalists that cover culture. They need their own movie studios, their own big tech platforms, their own streaming services and publishing houses producing more than just political content. The right needs to create works of fiction and documentaries that shift the public opinion in their favor. Because if they don't create their own cultural platforms, the Republicans will always be playing by the left's rules that the Democrats will rig the second they're given the opportunity.
Once we pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, we should keep marching to make it even better by making sure every American is automatically registered to vote, including former inmates who've earned their second chance. And if all this takes eliminating the filibuster, then that's what we should do.
Red Pilled America is an iHeartRadio original podcast. It's produced by me, Adriana Cortez, and Patrick Correlchi for Inform Ventures. Now, our entire archive of episodes is only available to our Backstage subscribers. To subscribe, visit redpilledamerica.com and click support in the top menu. Thanks for listening.
I think when you're diagnosed with cancer, you crave a semblance of normalcy and control, and so work allowed me to be me. So I think it's really important that companies stay flexible. Cancer and a diagnosis can be all-consuming, but it doesn't have to be.
Research shows there is a significant connection between the ability to continue to work and cancer recovery. We can make work a better place for healing.
Learn more and sign the pledge at workingwithcancerpledge.com.
The Joel Osteen Daily Podcast.
God's plans for you are for good.
Be inspired.
Get ready. God is about to exceed your expectations.
Joel Osteen Daily Podcast.
You are coming out of that dry place into more than enough.
Daily encouragement right when you need it.
There are opportunities in your future bigger than you can imagine.
Listen to the Joel Osteen Daily Podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.